Here's a blue tag colony. Put a second on. As you can see, there is 6 frames of bees. They're eating their patty, that's good. And there's 3 frames covered up top. So this one I misassessed. I want to see a box of bees, so this isn't going to provide a split. I've just divided a medium-sized colony into 2 boxes, which is wasting equipment, and I mean, I'm just going to have to resort these back down. So I don't always get it right. Let's take a peek down there to see what's going on. Carrie, could you pull a frame from the center of this? I just want to see if it's capable. Sometimes I just misassess. Depends on what kind of mood I am in. But obviously this one, it's either fallen backwards because of a problem, or it's just, you know, I'm looking at the patties and they're eating the patties. That's a really good sign. So that would have been 1.5 pounds. I'll take the tag off now. So I might have just been optimistic, or I might have, or the colony might be failing. We'll know within a second here.
She's flipped to drone.
Drone lair. So this colony has failed. Outright failed. Let's see if we can find her. Is there any eggs?
I am not seeing any. Looks of it 3 to 4 day old larvae though. On a scatter.
See if there's eggs up top here. She might have moved up.
There she is.
I don't have a bead on her. Oh, there she is. So who is she? She's a graft from 2017.
Abdomen shrunken.
Thank you for your service. Goodbye. Okay, so what we'll do, could you shake these bees back into that box, and then
Yep.
what we'll do is we're going to merge, now that Queen's dead, we'll merge a smaller unit on top and salvage these bees. That is the plan. Look at that. The patty is completely gone. That's 1.5 pounds. 5 days ago? When was the last time we were in this yard?
Good question.
Yeah, I forget too. I'll have to look back at my blog. I think it was 5 days, if not a week. 1.5 pounds gone. Compliments to the chef. And look at that arrangement up top. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 frames covered. And looking at my foundationless frames there, which I'm going to solve right away here. Could you grab a patty for me, please? Going to put some more supplement down. The box is, I mean, they could have more on it, but we're anticipating some pollen flow and nectar flow, and we're keeping the sugars to them as long as they can fly, so they're going to bulk up pretty soon. And we'll see this one in a few weeks. Can't square it. There we go. Everything's squared up. While you're here, let's take a peek. That's nice. So we're not going through these right now. We're just topping up the patties. So they're nibbling away at that. Devouring it. Look at that. I love it. Demand on protein. These guys are going to need some more. All the good stuff in there, eh? Let's see what they look like underneath. They're not going to get a second, I know that. Ultimate test. Holy shit, maybe they do need a second. We're looking at 7 frames. Well, on the line, I think we'll just keep them tight. They'll make me pay for that decision. There you go. I'm always goofing around trying different things. I just like having more options on trying to manage the bees the way we do. And I had some foundation come in from Premier Bee products. I just wanted a sample from these guys because they make a product that sent me a few frames here just to sample, but apparently he makes a product with the cell walls are thinner, and the claim is that he's able to get more cells. I think the claim is 10% more cells per sheet, and I'm thinking about that, and that's probably an interesting prospect, especially with me running singles in cold weather in the spring. If we can get more brood in that small tight cluster, then there should be more emergence. If the queen will be able to manage, 10% larger nest in the same volume, right, as the theory goes. So if I buy these products, this product, and specifically focus it on the center of the brood nest to be able to maximize my brood rearing throughout the early spring, I should be able to see benefit from these. So he sent me a bunch of stuff here to read. I think he got excited when I was showing some interest in his product. Cayman Reynolds actually got me on this product. And he said he actually counted the cells. I'm not going to count them, but he told me if he did the math over 10 frames in a box, he said with the extra cells it equates for 5,000 extra cells per 10 frame deep. So that's interesting. But if we can maximize the winter or the spring nest here, 10% more, if we get a few hundred more bees every round, it just adds up every time. Ian, my name is Jeff Johnson. I'm one of the co-founders of Premier Bee Products, a South Dakota-based manufacturer of the best plastic foundations in the bee industry. I wanted to reach out to introduce our story and hopefully explain some of the benefits beekeepers are experiencing through working with us. In short, we've developed a foundation that is more cost effective for beekeepers and more productive for bees. I sent you a brochure here that walks you through how we have achieved that and what it could mean to your operation. Our story began with years of extensive research on the industry's standard foundations. We discovered quite a neglect in quality and accuracy in current manufacturing. My partners Brad, Mark, and myself formed a team that was capable of solving these manufacturing and engineering problems. The result is a foundation that truly leads to healthier bees and a larger bottom line for beekeepers. I wanted to make sure you're aware of our product to incorporate into your operation. We take great pride in working closely with beekeepers. And there's just a little plug for these guys. Premier Bee Products. Made in the USA. That's, support our North American producers, manufacturers. So they do a good job in their sales pitch anyways. As compared to some of the standard, just pulled this out of the shop. It's a little bit dirty, but one thing I like about the frames I get here, deep celled, rigid, so it's very forgiving. These aren't as deep celled, but I guess if there's more cells per sheet, that's a good thing. And not as rigid. So we'll have to see what the durability is like. So it comes in this color. I'm colorblind. I'm not sure if this is green or yellow. No, this is deep yellow. And then there's white. And then he sent me a frame. I guess he builds frames too. So it fits in there. It's not as rigid. This is very rigid. So rigid it's hard to get into the frame. So when my guys push the boxes off the truck with the forklift and they fall onto the ground full of honey, these ones really hold the honey in the frames and I don't get as much loss that way. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So these ones probably won't hold the same. But my intention would be to use these more so in the brood nest, just maximizing the cells per frame. So that's what I'm going to do. I have 1, 2, 3, they sent me 4 sheets. I want to see how the bees draw it out. It's nicely coated in wax, that's nice. And see if they draw it out straight. And then I want to see how the bees use it. And in theory, it should help by making my springtime brood nest more efficient, maximizing their use of space. More cells, if there's 10% more cells within that cluster, then there should be 10% more brood being reared. There's a lot of other conditions around that affects how much brood is being reared, resources being one thing and the queen and everything, but with all things considered, in a tight cluster, if that's all the space they can muster through cold spring weather, then 10% more cells within that cluster should equate to 10% more bees emerge every 3 weeks. Here's one of the colonies that I put a smaller nuke up on top of a larger unit with the queen excluder and some newspaper just to provide some strength to that top unit, to give it a bit of a boost, just to bring it above that population threshold, or the critical mass, I guess you could call it. I haven't been looking through them. This is the first one I've kind of looked into. Maybe rushing it a little bit, but I want to see. I can't help myself but the curiosity and whether or not this is working. So holy moly, take a look there. I mean, lots of bees up top. the active merger was successful. Let's just see if they retain the queen. This is always the tricky part. They don't always do what you want them to do because they are honeybees. Oh, look at the bees. And it is a success. Look at that frame. I don't see the queen. I don't need to find her. But here's a frame of brood. Try to get out of in the sun here. Nice patch of brood. This is where the original nest was, but surrounding that is eggs, like a lot of eggs. And on this side we have cap brood, and we have mature larvae, and we have eggs all the way around. That is a success. That is beautiful. So I'm not going to disturb them too much here. I'll just let them carry on. And I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. Bees on there. There's going to be at least, I would say at least 4 frames with brood for sure. And we'll give them a couple weeks. It's going to be nice and capped. There'll be lots of bees in there. We'll just simply take this away into a different yard. And there you go. Just boosted this unit that was just a little bit shy of bees and doing an absolute beautiful job. Here, let's go do another one. Oh boy, smell of brood. That is just a beautiful smell. There's not as many bees up here. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. I'm looking at least 5 to 6 frames of bees on it. Oh man, just a terrific smell from this colony. So that's a good sign. I am smelling brood. And eggs. Well, actually, there she is. My baby. This whole side is filled with eggs. This side she's just starting to fill up with eggs. So that was a success. Do one more. I'm looking at 6 to 7 frames of bees up here. This frame's right full of larvae. I'm looking at, this is the old nest. cap brood, kind of, you know, a little bit spotty because they're kind of struggling a little bit. But this whole, the whole rest of this is filled with mature larvae, and as it goes out, it gets younger and younger to eggs. Oh, what a beautiful frame. The same thing. This is where the old brood nest was. This is all they could muster before because they're lacking on bees. And then surrounding that is mature larvae, and then as you get going out like this, it gets younger and younger and younger and solid. There's optimism in this nest. This queen is now allowed to stretch her legs. So I'm just going to leave them alone. Starting to cool off a bit, so I'm not going to check anymore. But that's what I'm on about all the time. Not promoting the weak, but promoting the small, the proven, the vigor, you know, all the capable colonies. There's a lot of reasons why there's small colonies, and it's our jobs as beekeepers to make sure that we can recognize a failed or failing unit, and we can recognize a small unit. If we can just provide some of the conditions to help boost them up, they will provide us with this beautiful nest, and we can capitalize that, and they'll make us a shit ton of money. And that's what it's all about, right? Making us money.